A giant among men. Now here's your host, Art Carlson.
Yeah! Welcome to Three Conservative Gimps. We've got a great show today. We are going to be talking about the shit show going on in Washington, D.C. called the January 12th Insurrection History, or Inquiry, whatever the hell it is. It's a shit show. But we'll be talking about that and all the craziness involved. So we've got a full crowd. We've got a full panel tonight. We've got a guy that he's been AWOL for several weeks, maybe even months. Let's get the show started. Let's welcome the effervescent Lloyd Mendenhall.
Hey, Art, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Wow.
I got my Let's Go Brandon shirt on.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can see this show is off to a roaring start. You kept popping in and out while the intro was running. And then you just announced that we were going to be talking about the January 12th.
Oh, sorry, January 6th.
You're right.
It's June 12th today.
Yeah, it's June 12th, and we're talking about
I'm having
January
a squirrel
2nd.
moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and you kept popping in and out during all the intro stuff. It's like, you know.
Oh, okay. I was adjusting my... never mind.
Yeah, okay.
All right, let's welcome our triumphant, our third member. He's back from his spa, so to speak. He's been taking a breather. Let's welcome all the way from Syracuse. He's the good Orangeman. Let's welcome Micah Roach.
Hey guys, Lloyd, Art,
How
good
you
to see you. Good to be back on here a little bit, and yeah, it's I've been missing for a while, Art, because I was locked up in Washington D.C. incognito for about 18 months. So you know, I identify as an insurrectionist. But
is that it? I can understand that.
But no, I you know, just took a little break from the social media stuff, and still kind of am, but you know, it's I just
Yep.
don't want to turn down the invite all the time. So
Yeah.
I'm to be here, and I'm sure it's going to be interesting talk. So, you know.
Well, at least we'll have some intelligence on the show now.
Right. Once we figure the date, you know, we'll get
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. He gets confused easy now. You know, now that he's retired. He's old, so
oh
he's,
yeah.
you know, he's confused often.
I'm a full-time YouTuber now.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
I got let go June 1st.
Yeah.
Art, can you control? You can't control my volume, can you?
I don't think so. I don't think I can.
Let's see if he makes
You might have to go into settings in StreamYards on your end.
Well, that's what I'm trying to see.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on a second.
Okay, we're hanging. While you're screwing around with that, I'll tell you what happened on June 1st. Myself and 4 other people were called into the office, and they said, well, they gave us this little paper. Where is the damn thing?
Okay, is this any better?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
I
had the wrong thing selected, so it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I got this nice little letter saying thank you for your service. Your insurance is good for the next 30 days.
Wow, 30 days.
Yep, and if you need help, we're here to help you with references.
Wonderful. Wasn't that nice of him?
What was
26.5 years.
How many?
26 and a half years.
26
Been with the same position, two different companies. Been
Right,
with the new
right.
company for close to 2 years.
Yeah. What? And I know they said it was downsizing, but what is the alleged cause of the downsizing?
Well, I imagine it's a combination of probably mostly with a supply issue, because we were having problems getting the parts because there was not enough work for me to do. So they moved me into a different department where I was,
Right.
doing packaging, where I was
Yeah.
getting the order forms and getting all the parts to put out on the floor. So I was doing that and learning how to use the hand scanner and and editing it on the computer if we had an issue where we go in and ooh, here we go, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
so
Yep,
Bidenomics got you, basically.
yep, Bidenomics. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think there's going to be a lot of that going around.
Yeah.
You know, I've talked about my son on my show, my youngest son, and his Nissan or Nissan or whatever you want to call it, Dodge, or his Nissan diesel with the Cummins engine. And of course, it seized the, anyways, long story short, he's had a lot of problems with it and they still haven't got it fixed. It's back up in the shop. And, but at the price of diesel, he can't hardly afford to drive it anyways. So he spent the money and he bought him a mountain bike and converted it to an electric bike. So, and he got one. He said it goes about 35 miles an hour. And he says just no gas, no insurance, and where he lives, he can just ride it back and forth to work. And that's what he's taking to work now. Cause simply, he didn't want to go with an electric thing because he's like myself, he's conservative, but, price of gas right now, I think I bought gas yesterday and I went in there and paid for it, and it was $4.44 a gallon, which was cheaper than anybody else. But she told me that their price was going up. So I suspect when I go in there today or go by there today that it will be $4.49 or maybe even $4.99 because we're starting to see it getting close to the $5 mark here. And and this gal, she was African American, and she was just livid that the price of gas was so high. She's just,
Right.
this is ridiculous. So this is something that's not. This is something that is crossing all boundaries now. Nobody's. This is one thing about these kind of economic situations. Everybody's hurt, especially the lower income and the middle class. We're the ones that end up having to pay for it. The rich, it doesn't bother them. They're just okay. So,
Right.
No big deal.
Yeah. They tried to push the e-bikes here, doing
Right.
that kind of rental thing where you with an app and all that. And it's between mainly downtown and the university area. One thing is that it's snowy here half the time, so there's that aspect, and also between downtown and the university area, you're liable to get mugged about 5 times along the way on a bike, any kind of bike. And the one girl from the newspaper, her bike ran out of juice before it reached the university area. So,
Yeah.
But
they've actually, Muskogee is no bigger than we are, 45,000 people, and they've actually got some in the downtown area here. Unfortunately, our crime isn't that bad, and most everybody carries a gun here anyways. Hey, I live in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
No apologies on that part
here.
for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
629.
Oh, Colorado. Yeah, did you hear Denver or Colorado is number one for car thefts?
Yeah,
number
and that's
one
sad.
in the nation. Yeah.
That is sad.
Yeah.
Well,
the price of electricity is going to go through the high. I was reading what Mickey McH put there.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's I mean, you got all these different things, and you know, the cost of electricity is going to go up because it's you know, it's supply and demand, and now everybody's converting to, you know, and I think the best, you know, I know all of us have probably seen that cartoon where the guy's like in Texas and he's got his electric car plugged into the wind vane, and you see the icicles dropping off the wind vane, which is, you know, the electric turbine, and it's froze up. And that's what we're looking at. You know, these people don't think that. You know, even Elon Musk said that we can't, you know, we can't convert to electric all at once, you know, because I just bought a van. I haven't finished paying it off yet. You know, so you know, I can't go out and buy a new electric car, and I damn sure ain't paying no $50,000 for one. You know, I just
and then you've got to pay for the electricity on top of that. And
and I'm an all electric house as it is, you know. So adding another however much that is, it's like, are you kidding me? There's no way. They just you know, and
get your solar panels, Lloyd.
On an all electric house.
Hey,
solar panels ain't going to do me that much good.
Grid.
Yeah. Out at the cabin, not a problem. I can live off the grid.
Right.
Here, my house is 2,100 square feet. It's all electric, and I'm scared of the dark, so I have lights on 24 hours a day. So I don't, you know.
Oh, that's so the marijuana plants have plenty of light.
Well, yeah, my grow lights, I got to keep them going. Those things, fortunately, I got some really good grow lights in the bedroom there. You know, what gives me this great reflection. You know,
they're working. I want to say hey, Steve Carpenter. I haven't.
Yeah, hello, Steve and Mike B and
Chris Wedgeworth. Good to see you guys.
Yeah,
Mickey or Mikey.
Yeah. I think it's Mickey.
Yeah,
Mickey McH.
Yeah, Mickey McH, could you put up in there, so we don't want to mispronounce anybody's name. I mean, I have enough trouble saying my own name most times.
Oh, and also the correct pronoun.
And your preferred adjectives.
Yeah, and your preferred adjectives, like
eat more possum, let's welcome him, and
a fellow Okie, eat more possum. Yeah. And I was supposed to meet up with Mel this last week. We were supposed to meet up a week ago Friday. That didn't work out. So I was supposed to meet up Wednesday, and we had, between Mel and us, we had hellacious rainstorms. And I said, I'm not driving. He called me. He says, I don't think you want to take Judy out in her electric chair in this rain. I said, no, I don't. And it just poured all day Wednesday. So Mel is on his way. He may already be in Tennessee now. Because I think he was taken off Saturday, so he should be there by now. Mickey, birthday, Michael. Mikey.
Okay.
Mickey, okay. Like the mouse, right? Okay. Make sure. And the only reason I know that
is, the show is a Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, it is sort of a Mickey Mouse show. No, we are not Mickey Mouse because we don't have any rainbows flying on this channel.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's right.
Oh, my God. I'm so tired of that stuff, you know.
You know what? My only pronouns are F and U.
Exactly.
That's my pronouns, you know.
Well, my adjectives are handsome and genius, and I'd like those respected, please.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Genius, I will do that.
But you know, society
joke on the handsome part, but the genius I'll go with.
Right. But I mean, what is this corporate stuff with? Somebody sent me a picture today of Skittles candy. Now they're rainbow colored anyway, I think. But it's like
they are.
You know, with the Pride packaging, you know, and all these corporations worrying about their ESG score or whatever it is, you know, because all they're worried about is green. They're not worried about, you know, those things.
Yeah. But and we're not the kind of green that is for the environment, the kind of green that fits into your, that kind of green. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's bizarre.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into the big topic that we sort of kind of went around it in a roundabout way. Let's talk about that clown show going on in Washington D.C. called the January 6th
The 6th.
Commission.
That's right.
Yep. By the way, they said it was bipartisan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Two
they got lit.
Republicans and the rest were Democrats.
And two Republicans
they
that
have
shouldn't even be
no
Republicans.
interest in hearing any other evidence or the other side.
Yeah.
It's a clown show. It's
they
just
did
nothing
that.
but a big free political ad.
Yeah,
That's all
and
it
they
is.
did the primetime thing on ABC, and the ratings were in the toilet. Nobody watched it. Nobody cared, because anybody who's at least semi-intelligence has figured out that this is all about politics, and the Republicans, they're having their own sort of another investigation, they've got their own committee, and it's just it was a joke. I mean, they hired a producer from ABC television to come in there and make it look good and add it. They said, we'll make it the greatest show on earth, or whatever. Well, it was a circus, but it wasn't the greatest show on earth.
Yeah. And to do it, even the Watergate hearings weren't on at 8:00 in the evening.
Yeah, no, they did that for prime time. This was completely a produced program. It was nothing but propaganda, and they violated so many, and the whole point of it is they want to come up with a reason to, once they decide that he has committed, they're trying to impeach Trump again. They need to start playing a different tune. Maybe they need to change up from their kazoos and get a real instrument or something and learn to play a different tune, because their kazoo choir that they've got up there called a congressional hearing is a joke. It
is. And how is it helping the little person?
They're ignoring the economy because, and that's it. They just like the whole gun control situation. They're taking these situations that are bad and using those for political means, and it's understandable. A lot of people are upset, but you notice while they're doing these hearings, we're not hearing anything about gun control right at the moment. There's background talk. They're back there, like the like the ventriloquist with his dummy, but that's
And they're not talking about the high cost of gas or groceries or a lot of things that use oil to either make or move these products from the factory to the stores,
right? Which means
and to our
everything is gone up. Loaf of bread, the bag that the loaf of bread goes in is petroleum products. The fertilizers, everything, and it's just bizarre. There's plenty of anti-gun talk here with our crazy governor, Hochul there. She's
you might hear it locally. Yeah, you're going to hear it more in states than you are in the national news right at the moment until something else. What they don't. You look at the demographics of these people that are doing this, and they're the people that's been, the young people. They're disconnected from humanity because of the lockdowns. There's a lot of reasons this is happening, but it's going to get worse because people they're not going to be able to go anywhere. They can't afford to go anywhere. They can't get out and do stuff. We're coming into summer months. This is what they call the dog days of summer. This is going to be one of those, this is going to be one of those summers that's going to, and people are frustrated. They're just getting, and it's not that, it's not the Black Lives Matters or the Antifa people that's doing it. Everybody now is frustrated, and because of that, we have this, and until Congress starts doing something, like the president keeps talking about, it's the gas companies.
It's the Russians' fault.
Yeah, it's everybody's
Putin's
fault but his. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why they're having the January 6th, as Steve Carpenter said, all 12 channels that carried it live was 25 to 30% lower rating than regular channels. And, that's it. They're playing the same. They've been beating this damn drum for 6 years
and a
now.
half. Yeah.
Well, no, they started beating this drum before he was ever inaugurated. They started, they have to have something. It's always got to be Trump's fault. If they can keep that in the people's mind, they think they're going to win. But all the polls show the people are sick of hearing about Trump,
Right.
I think this is going to be a huge red wave. The Democrats can lose up to 50 seats in the House. I mean, this will be like a 94 style shellacking.
Well, I'm not laying down any bets right now.
Right.
I really am not, because we as conservatives have we're finally standing up. We're finally not turning the other cheek. But if anybody can screw it up, we seem to be able to do it. We've lost more elections that we should have won. And it's controlled in the states, and unless your state has put in things to protect the integrity of the election, we're not going to be any better than we were, 2.5 years ago. And I think that's what we're looking at, and this is why they keep going back to this. It's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault. Well, it might have started out as being part of his problem because he was dealing with it during his presidency, but after the first year out of office, he was no longer responsible for the current economic, and every promise that Mr. Biden made. It hurts my mouth to say president, but Mr. Biden made, he's yet to fulfill. He hasn't fulfilled a single one. And even if he had, he'd probably forget. He probably couldn't remember.
They want to lower the gas prices. It's purposeful to force this transition, which I'm sure all their friends and relatives have placed investments in lithium mining and whatever else. If they think that green energy is so green, it's like mining all those rare earth metals is not a pretty thing. And then when they become time to recycle them, I don't know how that goes, but there's going to be some waste product there, and I'm not convinced it's all that green.
Just look at the manufacture of electricity.
Even more toxic than what we're doing now.
Right.
Yeah, when we recycle those lithium-ion batteries. I mean,
you look at places
and it's not cheap. Try to get a battery replaced on your Tesla.
Yeah, and look at look at places like Pitcher, Oklahoma, where they mined all this stuff and it became a toxic dump. It was they condemned the whole town has been shut down. I mean, there may still be a couple, 2 or 3 people living there, but they're living with no electricity, off the grid, and they won't live there very many more years because they'll be dead from all the toxic waste that's in there from the stuff that they mined out of there. That was used for all sorts of things. That we use. And they mined it, and of course. Then they had that tornado go through there, and that just stirred that crap up. I mean, we're talking. I used to drive through there to go see my son when he lived in Kansas, and we drive through Pitcher. Let me tell you, that place was a spooky looking place. They had about 60-foot tall mountains of all this waste just sitting there,
right.
And And this is what we're going to see with this lithium mining and stuff like this. It's going to just it's not good for the environment, in spite of what they say. Green is crap.
Mm-hmm. That's like Centralia, Pennsylvania, where that's an abandoned town because the coal mines are on fire. And they've been on fire for almost 60 years, maybe even more.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe we should ship the Dems in D.C. a mirror so that they can start complaining about Trump and the GOP. They see themselves talking about themselves. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they do talk about themselves. Everything they accuse is projection of what they actually do. I mean, you can almost call it down the line. They accuse people of their own tactics, and they're gaslighting. Trying to gaslight the American people. A lot of people are just going to buy into it anyway. But I think people, when they go check out at the grocery store, or have to go to Costco or fill up the gas tank, especially, but groceries across the board, everything is up, and the quality is down of a lot of this stuff. And it doesn't take a college degree to know that stuff. I think a lot of people are going to be pissed.
Yep.
Yeah, I put in $20 worth of gas yesterday and I think I got just over 4 gallons. I got less than 5 gallons out of that $20. It gives me about a quarter tank of gas on that van right now. And, I like shopping at this little convenience store, but they only carry, they've discontinued all of their high-end gases. They are only strictly 87 octane with the 10% ethanol, that's all they carry because they're not selling. Nobody's going to pay, I think it's like, $5.99 a gallon for the 92 octane,
Wow.
And nobody's going to pay that, and it's and that's what this whole January 6th thing is about, is to take the focus off of what's, but sorry, we can see the wizard behind the curtain. We can see the little man behind the curtain,
Right. They get hearings till the cows come home. People still have to go to the grocery store, and then they hear their kids come home and say, "Mommy, my teacher says, that if I want to be a girl, I can be a girl." And that's in my family, kid coming home and reporting on that. And parents, you don't have to be an activist to be pissed off about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the thing. They are trying to raise the age of owning a gun or buying a gun to the age of 21. You can't own a gun until you're 21. You can't drink until you're 21. That's what they want. But even then, you got to be 18. You've got to, under current laws, all of these things you can't do till you're 18 or 21, but yet a 5-year-old can decide what sex they want.
Right. It's bizarre.
Where in the hell is
an
that?
18-year-old can serve in the military.
18-year-old can serve in the military.
Weapons that they're not supposed to.
Some of those 18-year-olds are operating weapons of mass destruction,
Right. Weapons of war.
Do what?
Weapons of war.
Weapons of war, yeah.
Drone Rob, welcome. He's new to the club. Oh, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Yeah.
Yep.
But
it's
the stuff they're doing is just bizarre. And you remember during Vietnam, the whole, if I'm old enough to be drafted and I'm old enough to vote, I'm old enough to drink, about the draft, so everything was 18 back then, voting and drinking.
Yep.
And then the drinking went up to 21. And they want to lower the voting age, in order to get people who are more, swindled, So
these people, this is who they want elected right here. These people doing this, that's it. And this is the problem with our young society right now, is this right here. I mean, I hate sounding like my father. God, I hate that. It just pisses me off to sound like my old man, but that's where it's getting, I mean, I use an example. Yeah, well, I use an example. Look at Jeff Dunham. He even created a character called Earl, URL. And that guy, all he does is click, 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 and he's disconnected. Oh, did you say something? Yeah. When you got comedians making fun of that, there's a problem there. There's something going on,
Yep.
and that's where we're, But yeah, I was in the first group of 18-year-olds that were able to vote, and men had to be 21 to get married without their parents' permission. My brother, who had been
Unless
in
you're from
Vietnam,
Arkansas.
no, this is back. We're talking back in the late 60s. My brother had served a tour in Vietnam, and he came home, and he was getting ready to serve his first tour. He wanted to marry his fiance, but he was only 20 years old. My parents wouldn't sign for him. He couldn't get married. They said, wait until you get back from Vietnam. Well, he got back from Vietnam, and he was then 21, and he didn't have to have permission from them to get married. So he got married. And he went back and served another tour as a door gunner of all things. Like, really? But yeah, they had to be 21 to get your parents' permission. And I'm from that age that at 18, we were allowed, men were, this was the norm throughout the land. Women could get married at 18 without their parents' permission, but men couldn't.
No,
that's
so unfair.
Yeah, it makes you, it makes you
sexist.
wonder, what were they thinking? And this is from a time period where, men were going to war, and had been for generations. The draft was still in and stuff, and I'm from the last. I was in the last selection group that they made of the draft, and I had already enlisted, so I was exempt from it. But I was still in the last selection group. I was in the last lottery that they had, and it's like all that changed, and suddenly 18 was okay. I guess they decided that men could handle it because they were coming home in body bags at 18, so they might as well let them, But even drinking still was 21 in Oklahoma, and my son, when he turned 18, it had been 18. You could drink, you could buy 3-2 beer at 18.
Yep.
When he turned 18 was the year they raised the drinking age to 21 for everything. Pissed him off, because he thought, finally I'm going to be old enough to drink, legally. And now he was like, his birthday come around and they had just passed the law in Oklahoma. The drinking age had to be 21. So,
And
it's
that
still
was
there.
back in the days where the federal government could force states into complying with their new rules, like the drinking age, raise the drinking
Just
age.
they would just withhold all of the highway
All the
taxes
funding.
money.
And they lowered the BAC, the blood alcohol level, and so it made it easier to get a DUI.
Right,
So,
right.
Yeah.
Used to
Wasn't
be,
the speed limit also.
they lowered the speed limit to 55. Well, I thought that was stupid.
The speed limit 50. The speed limit 55 went into effect in about 1974.
Yep.
Because when I was or 73, it might have been 73. It's like the first year. Let's see, it had to be 73, 74 because I had a girlfriend and I knew how far it was from her house to my house. I had to be home by 10 o'clock on weeknights. I knew that I could get from her house to my house in X amount of minutes. Then them son of a bitches lowered the speed limit to 55 and I didn't account for it and I had to slow down and I was late. It took me almost a month to get my timing set up at 55 because and this was basically a country road, but it was one of the well-maintained roads in Grand Junction. And I could haul that thing at 70 miles an hour. But then they dropped it to 55, and it was like that until really in Oklahoma, it seems like just a few years ago. It's probably been in the last 15 years. And now some of our highways, Oklahoma was never 80 miles an hour. Now some of our highways are 80 miles an hour.
Yep.
And I'm
Up
too
in
old and timid.
Montana, no
Yeah.
speed limit.
Yeah. Well, Nevada
Yeah.
used to be that way until the gas crisis of '73, the Suez Canal and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep.
the gas shortages, and boy, that was fun to try and
Mm-hmm.
somebody would call you on the phone and say they got gas down there at such and such, and you'd haul ass to get in line to see if you could get there. If somebody drove by and they saw 2 or 3 cars there and they were filling up, like they'd have a sign that said "We got gas," and so everybody would haul ass to get to that gas station.
So Lloyd, what was the fastest you've driven?
The fastest I've ever driven was probably 115 miles an hour, but I was in a Lamborghini, so.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Lloyd's other car.
Yeah.
Yeah. I worked for the I was a gopher for the richest man of Oklahoma, and his passion. He had 3 car museums, and he's been dead for years now, but he still has a big auction in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I got the privilege of. I was a gopher. If he picked out a car he wanted, I had to jockey all of these cars out and in. And one time he wanted the Lamborghini, so I went over there and picked up a guy, and he says, "Let's get this out on the highway and let's crank it up." And he says, "It needs to blow out the cobwebs." And I was driving, and I wasn't too fond of it. And so he said, "Well, let me drive it the first time. I'll let you drive it back." So I got in the passenger seat, and he opened that thing up to about 145 miles an hour, and my head was stuck back like this, and my face was, it scared the living shit out of me. So he said, "All right, you drive back." He says, "But get it over 100. So 115, I think, was the fastest I would go.
Wow.
And that thing was just like smooth and just, once you got at high speed, it was crap, at low speeds. But boy, you get it out there on a highway and open that thing up, and it was a beautiful car to drive or ride in. But Maseratis, they're a piece of crap. I hated those things.
The fastest I've driven was 105 miles an hour up in Montana. I was doing some gigs up there, and I did it in a Hyundai Elantra, and I had that thing just blasting. Then when I got into Wyoming and had to get down to 75 miles an hour, it just felt like I was going in slow motion after that.
Yeah.
It was like, wow. But once I had it up to 105, I drove it not very long. I just felt I was scared. I'm like going, one thing could just wipe me out, and that'd be the end of old Artie on the highway.
Yeah, I think.
How about you, Mike?
I don't think I've ever broken 90, but because I'm more worried about tickets, and it's like, and also, that point you reach when you're driving your vehicle, once you get beyond 70, 75, you can kind of tell something goes wrong. A deer runs out. You're not going to be able to react if you just have 5 less miles an hour off that speed. So
and then
I'm
that way now.
I got pulled over doing 75 and a 55 right after getting off the thruway, and it was a state trooper, and he said, "What's the hurry?" I said, "Well, just got off the thruway where you pay the
My
toll."
bag is full.
You kind of like, it's kind of like the speeding tax on the New York State Thruway. You can do 75 there without getting even looked at, because it's you still pay tolls even though they were supposed to disappear like 25 years ago. So you know how that goes. But
all right, now that we got speeding out of the way, speaking of speeding, how about that Liz Cheney? She is toast. She's like 28 points behind in the primary. And
and that's why she's doing what she's doing. That's why she's part of this circus, because she knows that she's not going to get reelected. So she's trying to do as much damage as she can before she gets out of office. That's to me is the whole purpose of her being involved.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know about the other wingnut, but he's, you know.
Yeah, who is the other wingnut? That there's what 2 Republicans on that?
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
who the other
Is
one
it
is.
Kinzinger from Illinois?
Yeah, I think it's Kinzinger. Yeah. I don't know much about
Cheney
him.
looks incredibly angry. The scowl on her face is almost constant, and you know, like I don't know what that is about. You know, you've had one great life. I'm sure they're loaded with money. Go live your life.
Yeah. Maybe she's pissed at her dad for something.
Yeah, or doesn't like her dad's legacy not turning out to be the greatest thing anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Yeah. She is Birdshot's. I like that, Birdshot's daughter. Yeah, he shot the only lawyer that was actually for President Bush at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Gun violence.
Yeah.
Didn't remember it was Joe Biden a couple of years ago said if someone is breaking in your house, get a shotgun and blow it up into the air. And that's the most irresponsible thing you could possibly do.
Yeah,
you know?
and the whole thing about it, he says, well, those guns can blow out your lungs. Like, you know what the preferred gun of most assassins are?
22
rifle.
Really?
They've got because they're going for headshots. You know, you get the right scope, you get the right conditions. You know, and all you got to do is sit that little thing right back there, and that thing's going to rattle around inside the skull, and you know that's going to be that. You know, and oftentimes they can't even. You know, it doesn't blow out the forehead, so you know they're looking like, well, he died, but and then look, here's a little hole in the back of his head. It's a 22.
Yeah, he committed suicide.
Yeah.
Right.
And so Biden is he's a joke. He's a friggin' idiot.
But these hearings, I think you would hope that most people can just see that this is nothing but a show. Like right out of a Banana Republic or Saddam Hussein, you know, take him out and shoot him after we make an accusation type thing.
Yeah.
And it's, I would hope the average American can see through that. Otherwise, we're just screwed anyway. You know, if they don't take a bath this November with Congress, I don't know where we go from there. You know?
Yeah. If we lose the House and don't maintain at least a 1 point changeover onto the Senate, you know, where we can nullify, you know, Camel Toe Harris, you know, in her approach to the Senate. You know, we have to have at least two seats changed so that we can nullify her ability to control the Senate. You know?
Right. Yeah.
And
the founders gave us a great Constitution, but they didn't foresee wokeness. You know, and,
right.
So,
yeah, Mason's right. They will do anything to try and keep Trump out of office, and you know, I'm not sure that I don't know how I feel about whether Trump should run again. I mean, I feel like he should have got a second term, but I think this should be his second term right now.
Right.
I'm not sure that. Who was it? Cleveland, Grover Cleveland.
Yep, Grover Cleveland. Yep.
I'm not sure I want him to do a Grover Cleveland, and I just he is great at what he does. I heard somebody, I know who it was. If you guys get a chance, I can't remember who it is, but somebody did a long interview with Tyrus from the Gutfield show.
Right.
Yes, I saw that on YouTube.
Yeah, on
I
YouTube.
I see it. It was a long ass interview.
Well, there's a guy that broke it down into segments, so you know. So
I'll have to go see that.
Yeah, and he talked about when he went to Fox News and you know what, and he said you know he represents a demographic. You know, he's a conservative, you know, or a Republican, and he said, like he said, some of the stuff that Trump said was stupid. But he says this is a guy who was a persona, who created a persona from his game show. You're fired, and that was the persona. It wasn't necessarily who he is, but that's a public persona. And he did, he was of the opinion that, any press is good press, and that wasn't always, there was times he said stuff that was like, wish you hadn't have said that, Mr. President. I really do.
But he was a developer in New York City. I mean, you have to deal with mob bosses basically to get a building built, and you got to be, a little street smart to do that. And
he was every bit of that. But in the combination of two is what created a lot of his difficulties. Nothing, they were after him before he ever. They were after him before he was even nominated. They started attacking him hard. And they tried to do
with the Russian collusion thing. Right. I mean, talk about a sham. Here they are. They're going on and on about this January 6th commission, yet they ignore all the bullshit that started back in 2015. When Trump got threw his hat in the ring for the election. And the Democrats, they were, well, not Democrats, but the liberal press, they were hoping that Trump would be the nominee because they thought that Hillary would just walk right over him,
Yeah, and I think that's probably has a lot to do with why Hillary went with this whole joke about the Russian collusion, because she honestly thought she could beat Trump. A lot of people thought she could, and then it turned out that, oops, big mistake.
Yeah, they thought they had it in the bag, but I think most people who lean to the right don't answer surveys.
No,
everything we can to mess up their algorithms, and all that kind of thing. So when the polls start showing in 24 that let's say DeSantis is, I don't know who he would run against. Biden is going to be, weekend at Bernie's by then. And, he, they have no bench whatsoever. But, they'll
wait a minute. They have Colorado Governor Polis. He's gay and he's a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
And
he sounds qualified.
And he personifies that he's more libertarian than he is. He's a radical leftist. He's peddling this bullshit that he's all for he's for the little guy. He talks like he's a libertarian, but he's not.
Yeah, they have to lie about who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, they're that's their biggest thing is they're groomed to be liars, from the early, now they're doing it with generations. They're getting them now where they're trying to groom them in the schools, to like we talked about the kids coming home. I want to identify as a girl. Hey, I'll tell you right now, I identify as a lesbian.
Wrapped in a man's body.
Wrapped in a man's body. That's right.
Well, you do have a little face stubbles, so,
Yeah, well, I was watching Tomorrow Wars, and is it Chris Pratt? He's in that, and from the Avengers movies. Anyways, he comes walking in there, and he sees his old man. His old man's got a full beard, and he's the one who plays J. Jonah Jameson in the new Spider-Man movies. And he's got a full beard, and he just looks at him. And of course, he pulls a gun on, and it turns out it's his son. He says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you with that metrosexual face scruff you got there. Either grow a beard or shave it off." I thought that was hilarious. Metrosexual,
Right.
And this is not metrosexual. This is just pure ass laziness. I didn't get up until just in time to do this show. So,
Didn't they coin that phrase for John Kerry? Metrosexual.
They might have, yeah.
I think so. And I don't know. It's we really are in bizarre territory.
This is an alternate universe.
Yeah.
See, Mike B's a lesbian too.
We could start.
Call me sometime. Oh my God. Yeah. And that's how crazy it is. Friggin' PayPal. Have you guys noticed your logo on PayPal? I am so pissed about that.
Yeah. I won't
And
use
they won't let us change it. They won't let us change it. It's a friggin' the circle is a rainbow or is a rainbow.
Yeah.
And you can't change it. Yeah. They
YouTube
started
also did that in the mail app where there was all of a sudden
Wait a minute, did you say the mail app?
Yes, as in the email. But it's
The
like
email.
The rainbow thing around the logo of your channel. And I was like, went straight to my channel because I'm like, they didn't force that on there, I hope. And it wasn't, but it's like,
right.
Skittles, YouTube, it's no surprise with YouTube, but going after kids' candy and Oreo cookies, you name it, it's really bizarre.
Over at Walgreens, they started like 2 months ago. They have a display of Disney Mickey Mouse stuff, and of course they've got the Minnie Mouse little bows with the ears. They're all rainbow colored, and it says on there celebrating pride, celebrating diversity. But I went over to I took Judy over here last week. We went over to it's a craft store.
Cracker Barrel?
No, it's a craft store. And
Michael's.
No, not Michael's. It's one that's from Oklahoma.
Oh, Hobby Lobby.
Hobby Lobby, thank you. Anyways, they've got Mickey Mouse stuff in there, but it's all red, white, and blue. They have because the people that own Hobby Lobby are Christians. That's why they're closed on Sundays. They won a lawsuit on having to provide birth control and or abortions.
Right.
And they went to the Supreme Court on that and eventually won it. So I was surprised that they even had Disney stuff in there, but the stuff that they had zero rainbow stuff. That's one thing you can go in that. You can go into Hobby Lobby and there is no pride stuff there.
Yeah.
Well, you know why the Orioles have that rainbow. It's because it's a party in your mouth and everyone's coming.
Right. Yes, indeed it is, Art. Yes.
Mason says he thought they were Mormon. I don't think they're Mormons.
No.
Over at the people that own Hobby Lobby, because they're from Oklahoma, and there's not a lot of Mormons in Oklahoma.
No.
If it's Colorado or Utah or Arizona,
Western Slope, Colorado,
Western Slope,
Idaho has a lot of Mormons. Nevada, what's his name? Harry Reid was a Mormon.
Yeah.
Yep.
When I moved to Grand Junction in 1971, they only had one television station. Cable hadn't even been invented yet.
Right.
And so they had one television station. It was part of the XYZ Broadcasting Corporation, and they had, I think we were KBEZ or KBAZ or something, or WKZ or something. I can't remember, but we were Z, and you had X, Y, and Z different parts, and they were all owned by the same company. And we only had one channel, and so each night you would get a variety of programs. You'd get like the top-rated Gunsmoke, Bonanza. They were all different stations, so you'd get ABC, CBS, NBC as your main three, because Fox hadn't started yet. And but during a certain time of the year, you didn't get anything except the Mormon Conference. For 2 friggin' weeks, all you could get on television was the Mormon Conference from the start of the day till they shut. This was back when the Indian would come on and you'd sit there and stare at it until it was all snow.
Right.
But yeah.
Even here, I think back in the 70s, the Mormon Tabernacle Choir would be on national TV or something like that.
Yep.
You don't hear about that anymore.
That was more of a Christmas thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
but when it comes to Hobby Lobby,
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Hobby Lobby is a
it-
great store, but you look for something patriotic in there. Look in the back; it's made in China.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
and they
Yeah.
can't help it. I
Mhm.
mean, it's cost prohibitive to get American-made stuff unless you really want to pay out for it. But
Well, and I've said this for years. The way we run things here in the United States and the wages that we expect, and with our cost of living, we have to have a fair wage. But when the unions have not done anything good for the worker for years, because they're the ones who created it so that people had to outsource. Companies in
Mhm.
order to stay.
What, Alexa?
Yeah, Alexa just said they were Christians, so I stand corrected on the folks that own Hobby Lobby. Yeah, like I said, I was pretty sure that they're conservative Christians, and the Mormons
Yeah,
are
they're more
not.
family oriented, but
They're
they're
family oriented,
more
but they're
they're more liberal. They're kind of
yeah
like
they're
Jesuits.
they're socially liberal,
Yeah.
and so yeah they although they didn't used to be. I mean, I remember the year that because my sister was a Mormon, so her and I used to have a lot of discussions, and I remember I kept asking her, so well, if this is so great, how come they don't have any black deacons in their church or black ministers in their church? And, well, because of the early sin and blah 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 blah. Yeah, okay, whatever. And then they announced they got a revelation from God that blacks could now be members of the Mormon Church. Now, mind you, there was also a federal lawsuit that was being brought against them, and it was headed to the Supreme Court. And they had a revelation from God just before it hit the Supreme Court, and they changed that. So,
yeah.
and of course, she looks at me and she said, "I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it." I said, "You know what I'm going to say, and I said, yeah, a revelation from God. Isn't it amazing? Just before the lawsuit was to be decided by the Supreme Court, they decided to concede,
Yeah. Well,
Have another cup of coffee.
Yeah. That was it, So but yeah, and this whole, like I said, you got this pride stuff, this woke stuff. If you guys get a chance to look up and watch that one clip of when Tyrus talks about going to Fox News, and he said what's really surprised him was, he said, I'm from that demographic, I'm a black American. He says, but I'm also a Republican. He says, I really expected to catch a lot of flack. He says, the more they had me on there when I became a permanent member of the staff, because he just started out doing guest appearances every so often in the rotation. Now he's on there all the full time.
Mhm.
But he's had more people walk up to him and says, just keep up the good fight, brother. And they're black.
Yeah.
He says, I'm surprised. And that's the thing. What the economy is doing, all of this woke crap, all of this, the school boards that are destroying families because of their stuff, all of this stuff is resonating with all Americans.
right.
And you're seeing it, I see it all the time. Just like I said, when I went up to buy gas and that gal she was pissed. Well, the lady we're getting our Chihuahua from, she's, she's a lesbian. She says it, but she's not. She said, I said, I have no problem with that. I said, I'll buy the dog. We're going to buy the dog. We want it. It has nothing to do with what your personal preferences are. That's you. And that's none of my business. I said, as long as I don't have to call you he, him, it, or whatever, or a they, I said, because I'm too old and I would get confused. I learned the pronouns in school back when I was a kid, and I said, I ain't a kid no more. And she looks, she's endowed, and she looks down, she says, I'm a woman. It's a little hard to hide it. She says, that's the silliest damn thing I ever heard in my life. I don't know why they're doing that. So, it's that wokeness crap is just that. we've allowed a minority group of people and a bunch of, I don't know, guilt-ridden rich white folks that are also Democrats or liberals, socialist liberals. We've allowed them to take control of our country.
Yep. That's right, because back in the day, we thought, oh, they're crazy. Nobody's going to believe that crap. And here it is 20, 30, 40 years later, and it's like, oh, shit.
Because they started in school systems and raised up a whole generation that is either in their phone or doesn't have a traditional belief system. You know?
Yeah.
And, so, and when it comes,
remember.
Go ahead, Lloyd.
Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry. I'm hogging the show. Go ahead, Mike.
But when it comes to, you know, say some transsexual moves in the neighborhood, or there was 2 lesbian girls lived across the street a few years ago. I didn't care. You know, they didn't push it on anybody, and it was just wasn't a non-issue. And but this whole thing of pushing it on the kids and stuff, as far as I'm concerned, rhetorically, the gloves it's time for the gloves to come off and not play nice anymore, and like really get, you know, say what you feel, and I don't care, let the chips fall where they may. You know, in terms of like, they can call me any name in the book. I don't care. What's that going to do? I want to get beat up, but you know,
I have been saying for years that if the blacks want to insult us, they got to quit calling us crackers. It's insulting, but everybody likes a cracker. I love crackers. Yeah, I like saltine crackers. I like Ritz crackers. You know, crackers with peanut butter. You know, I don't have a problem with crackers.
Andy Griffith says, Ritz crackers.
Yeah,
good.
That's right.
Ritz crackers.
Yeah, so they got to get more insulting. You know?
Yeah, like
old fat white trash, and I'm saying it. Okay.
Well, now you're talking about me, Lloyd. So, you know. But and what I understand, cracker is actually came from Europe. That word. It's not like a Southern American. That's not where.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You know, so
yeah,
I don't know names.
I think it's just. I think it's used predominantly by black comedians in their stand-up. I think they use it as much as anybody, and it's usually because of a stand-up comedy thing. So
yeah.
But
well, guys, we've done over an hour, and we managed to somewhat talk about January 12th. I mean 6th. But we did cover it, and then we expanded, and we did a great job. So I want to say thanks everybody in the chat for coming. Any last words, Lloyd?
What I always say: be kind, treat each other better than you treat yourselves. Remember, everybody matters, even old fat conservative gimps like us.
Right,
Mike.
Well, ditto on what Lloyd said, and just it's nuts and everything, but trying and enjoy the ride anyway. But I have no problem with blasting somebody with words when they have it coming.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Great show. We'll catch you next week. God bless you.
Okay,
bye.